Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Create Business Opportunity with Sustainability Profile for Digital Printing, organized by the Hong Kong Trade Development Council and Hong Kong Digital Printing Association on the occasion of the HKTDC International Sourcing Show online. 各位來賓，歡迎參與由香港貿發局及香港數碼印刷協會合辦嘅創造可持續印刷方案的商機研討會。This section will be conducted in Cantonese, and simultaneous interpretation in English will be provided on the Zoom platform. 本次研討會將會以廣東話進行，喺 Zoom 平台收看嘅觀眾可以啟動 Zoom 語言翻譯功能，設置收聽英語頻道。
Without further ado, we would like to pass the time to our guest this morning. He is Mr. Stafford, General Manager of Gateway Computer Resources Limited. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this online seminar this morning. And our topic today is Create Business Opportunity with Sustainability Profile for Digital Printing. Today's section will be divided in two parts. The first part will have a presentation from me, and in the second part, I'm very glad to have two guests to have a panel discussion with me. And they are going to share with me different options of technical support and the development of the market. So here is a brief background about me and my company. And my company is set up in 1993, and our major business is a distributor. And our products include HP's large format printers. That include 4 different product lines. The first is focusing on design printers, and also there are some high-speed page write printers, and also related to today's topic, have latex printer and also the disc printers. Apart as a distributor, we are also providing both pre-service and post-sale service, and also we will sell some products which are the consumables. And other hats that I'm carrying this year is the Vice Chairman of HKTDC, and the full name is Hong Kong Digital Printing Association. This association is established in 2000, and the objective is to communicate with the printing industry and to promote the digital printing in Hong Kong, so that we will stay in touch and keep updates with the printing industry, and we can liaise with different units. Apart from the above roles, starting from year 2003, we will organize an annual HK Digital Printing Award, which focus on giving awards on digital printing. And we would like to encourage people to share the best practice in digital printing, and also we will publish a bi-monthly digest in order to share updates about people in the industry or those who are interested about the latest updates of the market information as well as the technological development. So the keyword today is sustainability. Maybe you have heard about this in different channels. It is very popular in recent years, and I have looked up a pretty appropriate translation in Chinese, which is called 活起直性. In English, is sustainability. And for definitions, it is talking about something that is not so harmful to the environment, or it will not be depleting natural resources, so that in long run, it will be helpful to supporting ecological balance. In reality, I think sustainability can be divided into 3 parts. It is related to the environment, economy, and also a society. Talking about environment, it is related to how to make use of natural resources and how to manage our environment and also prevent pollution. Economically speaking, it is also talking about the income and how can we make use of energy in a more efficient way, and in turn increase our productivity. In terms of social impact, of course, there will be some business ethics, etc. As I have mentioned, one of the areas is about pollution. This is something that we are very concerned in recent years. Even in the international society, there are a lot of high-profile meetings talking about this. According to WHO reports a few years ago, it says that the pollution has huge impact on human beings. We have about, in 2012, more than 6 million were died because of air pollution. Therefore, this topic is of serious concerns of the leaders of different countries. Looking at the figures, or the reality around us. If you have paid attention to the news in the northern China, there have been some sandstorm. And we see that during sandstorm, the whole sky will turn into orange, and it is pretty serious because of the economic developments in mainland China. Pollution will definitely be the result. And if you have paid attention, there will be some discussion in mainland China, and policy has been set so that in the coming few years, pollution can be reduced as much as possible. Locally speaking, I think last year, because of pandemic, you were all stay home and you're all bored. So whenever it's possible, you will go to the countryside and try to get some fresh air and stretch yourselves. However, pollution is a pretty serious impact. In countryside or on the beaches, you will see a lot of waste which is being washed on shore by seawater. As I look it up on the internet, I noticed that every day Hong Kong people is producing plastic waste, which is up to the weight of 80.5 double-decker bus, which is up to 2,320 tons. A lot of countries have been taking actions and set up policies in order to control pollutions. For example, the president of the U.S., Joe Biden, he has been in office for not long, but he is announcing that hoping in 30 years, starting from the government, the cars and the vehicles can be all electric cars. And some large-scale corporates like Boeing, they are using a lot of fuels and hope that by 2030, they will be using all sustainable fuels. That means they will be using new energy. By doing so, they hope that they can reduce the pollution that they're causing. Locally speaking, we also have taking some actions, hoping that in 30 years' time, all cars can change from using fuels to be using electricity. And also there are announcements because people say that they're not using electric cars because it's difficult to find chargers. And they hope that by 2050, there will be 150,000 parking seats which provide chargers so that there will be no excuse because they are always able to find chargers. Apart from the government, some business sectors have been taking some actions. For example, Hermes, they are a very high-end clothing fashion brand. They are not using a lot of fuels, but they will make use of some new raw materials. For example, they will make use of mushroom as new materials and to produce their products. So you can see corporates and organizations of different scales and governments, they are all taking efforts in order to improve sustainability. As you can see, there is a common myth. Maybe ordinary people would think that it's not something that we can do because there is a cost. So probably the cost will be too high for us. It's out of our scope. Or maybe sustainability, it's equals to no money in business terms. That's why I will not do it. Or maybe it's something that the big corporations or the big organizations should do it. So for SMEs, it's not my problem. It is just us, or maybe people would think it is the business problem. It is not something on a personal level. But I believe that this is something that we all can take part in. For example, the fuel cars. Gradually, we will see a more and more hybrid cars or electric cars by hoping that we can reduce our reliance on fuels and therefore to reduce pollutions. And to take a further step, I can survive without cars. I can ride bicycles, right? If you pay attention to the news, in European countries like Amsterdam, within the city, they have successfully promoted riding bicycle to work so that they can reduce their reliance on the public transports and cars. And also, it is healthy to you if you ride bikes more. Likewise, there's always something that you can do on a personal level. For example, in my homes or in my companies, if we are using some very traditional light bulbs, maybe we can change it to LED bulbs. Or maybe when we eat daily, maybe we can just eat what we need so that there will not be food waste. And today we are having a cooler weather. Maybe later on, when it gets hot, maybe we will not turn on the air conditioning at too low a temperature. Maybe we will follow the government's advice and to turn it at 25 degrees Celsius. This is something that we can all do. We don't have to rely on the big corporations. Going back to the topic today, we are from the printing industry. So how is it related to us? What is sustainable printing? Traditionally speaking, maybe we think we will waste a lot of paper, it is harmful to the environment, etc. But as the technology develops, we'll be able to create sustainable printing. For example, some new printing technologies. This is something that we can share with you today. There are also some new inks and printing materials which help us to reduce. I won't say that we can eliminate pollutions totally, but at least we can help to reduce pollutions and to prevent the waste of resources. Why is it so important? As I have said, I have cited you many examples. This is not something that's about individuals or a specific organization. It's a global issue. Some more advanced country, they are actually setting up legislations. For example, when you do certain things, you have to pay attention to certain areas. For example, the printing materials, is it going to be harmful to the environment? Can it be recycled? In some countries, they are already putting efforts there and even making legislation for it. And locally speaking, if you look up the websites of some big corporations in Hong Kong, there will be a certain part of the websites talking about the sustainability goal. For example, Hong Kong Electric, in the websites, they said that by 2050, they hope that there will be zero carbon emissions. Some other big corporations like Cathay Pacific, they want to reduce the use of plastic. Maybe by 2022, it will be cut by 50%. And also some corporations in the catering business. So are we ready? For example, if there is a print job for us, are we able to satisfy what they're asking of us? So our topic today is that we hope that there will be a sustainable future. Why is it so important to the printing industry? As I have said, there are different industries or big corporations who will require us to provide some green printing when they are asking for printing products. So are we able to fulfill it? And also by doing so, it can improve our image and brands. And if we are pioneering in this aspect, then maybe we can stand out from our competitors. Internally speaking, it is helpful too. It is so difficult for us to look for talents, but maybe there will be some employees who will give favor to companies who are more sustainable. Maybe you can attract new blood into your company. And I will be quite brief in the following slides. Sometimes when I share with people that my company is sustainable, then maybe they will say, what are your proof? Is there any evidence? For example, as an employee, if I'm joining your company and you tell me that you're sustainable, then what is your performance? Are you really walking your talks? Indeed, there are some ways. As I have mentioned, there will be technology, the paper or the materials that we use. There are some certifications that we can gain. And I'm going to share furthermore about this slide. On the right bottom corner, there will be some logos, and I will give you more details about these certifications. For example, the ink or the materials that use and how is it not hazardous to human bodies. Hoping that as our industry is moving this direction, we will be making prints but not pollutions. The following, I'm going to share with you different methodologies about how our industry can reduce pollution and be sustainable and to sharpen our sustainable edge. My sharing based on the HP products, because they have been excelling in this aspect for more than 10 years. And as I said, this is not something that can be facilitated by one company because it is a global concern. And I believe that on the internet, you can look up a lot of different solutions. Different companies will be providing similar solutions for you. So this is not your only option. So I will go through it one by one. For example, how can you enhance your sustainability? For our day-to-day product or in our daily operations, how can it be related to sustainability? One of the technologies is that the latest printer of HP, we are using the technology as latex inks. Some will call it as latex, and there has been some misunderstanding that it is made use of corn oil. And the most outstanding quality of it, it is made by water. And you know, the water is harmless. It's something that we are in contact with every day. For example, if you look at this label, you know that this ink is harmless because there are some policies regulating that on the packaging, we have to put the logo on right hand side. We have to tell you that this product is harmful to human bodies and you have to be aware. And because our product is water based, so there will not be any odor or some bad smell. So when you use it, you don't need any special ventilation. Maybe if you use other products, maybe because of the traditional chemicals or the particles that they submit might be harmful to human bodies. So this is something that you have to pay attention to. Packaging. In terms of packaging, you also have to be very specific about the chemicals that is reactive. So you have to pay attention to the tags. So if you are using the HP products, basically it's just water-based, so you won't need any extra tags. Secondly, what are the products that we have which help us to reduce plastic and it is not going to be harmful to the environment? Apart from the printing machine of HP, they are also working together with different suppliers to develop some recyclable or returnable products. It is harmless to the environment. For example, we may not need any special process to deal with the disposables. Especially for HP, it is the leaders because every day we're using a lot of cartridge. So what they're doing is to go plastic free. That means they're not going to use that much plastic in the packaging as well as the paper carton. So they are reducing the use of plastic by 80% and therefore the emission of CO2. And also they will try to use recycled materials in the packaging. Last but not least, what will be the business opportunity for me if I go sustainable? For example, like us, and when we try to use the recycled products and change our business practice, what will be the business opportunity for us? Sometimes when the customers come, when they come and ask to see if your products is not harmful to the environment, you can find a lot of certifications. If asked by the customers, you can present these certificates to them. And maybe you are already familiar with it. There is a certificate called Green Guard, which shows that you are not going to emit anything hazardous to the environment. You can have it for a wallpaper or even interior decorations, etc. As I've mentioned, HP is also working together with a lot of different corporations in order to produce eco-media. There are over 80 types for the customers to choose from. So there will be more than just one options if they want to go green. And once again, and other certifications. There is something called Ecologo and also the AGBB from Germany and also A+ from France. These are all the labels which tell your customers that your product is odorless and is not harmful to human body. And we also hope that if you are still not joining us, I hope that you will pay attention to sustainability printing solutions to your customers. By doing so, you will have even more varieties. For example, for signs and displays, for posters, or even the vehicle wraps. If you have this extra machineries, it is going to give you even more business opportunities. You might even be able to do canvas or wallpaper. I'm going to share with you a video, and after that, I will share with you some more case studies. In the short video, maybe you can see there are something more traditional, moving from analog to digital printing. And also there will be some sustainability solutions by doing so. Hope that there will be more new business opportunities. Here are some different case studies that I would like to share with you. This is something that we're doing already. The first example is a kindergarten in Singapore. In that kindergarten, they are making use of this latex printing. It's pretty new, but not really new, because the children will play around and they will touch the walls. So if when they are touching something, they might put it in their mouth. But if you use latex printing, it is harmless and odorless, so it's safe to use. Here is a hospital from Barcelona. Maybe you know that traditionally speaking, the hospital is all white and it is pretty saddening and it's scary for kids. But they are making use of these printing solutions in order to produce some colorful interiors for the MRI rooms and the radiology rooms so that the children will be less scared. Similarly, in a hospital in Hong Kong, they are helping the hospital to decorate as well. Another company, which is a case study that I would like to share with you, this is a Japanese company called K3. Traditionally speaking, they are doing interior design and wallpapers and decorations. Since they are using some washi paper that is a traditional Japanese paper as decoration. But because of the development of the trends and the new technologies kicks in, so the washi paper are being eliminated, and they hope that they want to revitalize the whole industry. They want to bring in some new elements, and they have selected this printing solutions as their help. Why is it so? Actually, some of their customers are the karaoke in Japan, which is quite popular there. The area is usually very small. If it is smelly, then of course the clients will not like it. And also they will have a theme of decoration. For example, there will be some animated characters, and those characters require very high quality of reproduction. That's why they would choose latex printing solutions, so that they will have the quality that they prefer. And also, it is beneficial to the staff as well. As I have repeated many times, it is odorless and it is harmless. Therefore, for the staff, they will not have to worry that much because they may have to work 12 hours in that working environment. If it is something harmful or smelly, that it may be impacting their health as well. But our solutions is going to give them ease of mind. With this digital technology, they are able to provide even more solutions. For example, they can decorate even the floors, or they can print on the piece of cloth to decorate the walls. So from traditional wallpapers, they are now able to provide even more options for their clients. Another case study I would like to share with you is a company in Thailand, and they have been in the business for about 40 years. They are providing a lot of different services, and a lot of companies are doing the same thing. For example, light boxes, standees, vehicle wraps, banners, and also interior decorations. And they are also providing a lot of products to their clients. Actually, the customers are also asking for some more environmentally friendly products. So they are making use of the latex printer in order to explore new business opportunities, and they are able to have new jobs. This is a mall from Central Group in Thailand, and they are supporting them in terms of decorations and renovations. And because of this successful experience, they are able to have a lot of different new businesses, like the designers and hotels. So they are able to provide more options for the high value clients, and they are able to expand their business by doing so. They are also increasing the equipments to come up with the expansion of the businesses. As I have said, if the global customers in different countries, and if all the customers around the world are having similar requirements, then maybe we will not missing this opportunity if we are going green as well. And if you need any certifications, we can also provide it for them as a proof. So this is about the end of my sections. If you want some additional resources or want some more information about the certifications or the logos, or if your company has begun in this area and you want to do more, or if you want to know more about the HP solutions, you're very welcome to contact me. I have a lot of information to further share with you. So I think this is the end of my part. Here is my contact information, my email, my phone numbers, etc. So I will show it for a few more seconds. So maybe you can jot it down, or maybe you can contact me through the organizers. Thank you. Here is the panel discussion. We would like to welcome Mr. Stafford, our moderator, and also Mr. Wagner Tang, Vice President of Next Technologies Hong Kong Limited, as well as William Ho, Director of Fingerprint Limited. Together, they are going to discuss with us the business opportunity of sustainable digital printing proposals. Okay, here is the second part. Today, we are very happy to have two guests to discuss with me. Maybe I can add a few more words to introduce with you our two guests. Wagner is the VP of Next Technologies, and he is very experienced. And he has also won some design awards and different TV stations or the broadcasting companies would invite him to share his experience. He is also one of the founding members of HKTDC, and he used to be our chairperson. As for William, he is also in the business for a long time. And he is the director of Fingerprint, and his company has been in the industry for over 20 years. He has analog printers, offset printer, even digital printers. So they have a lot of equipment and rich in experience. So we are very honored to have these two guys to share with us about the technological development in this industry. Just now, I have mentioned a lot about sustainability. Maybe now we can try to switch the topic to talk about printing technologies. Looking at the future trends, which one do you think is going to be dominant? Wagner, do you want to share first? At the moment, I think digital printing is having advantages because in terms of speed, it is outperforming inkjet. I think gradually it is going to replace the traditional analog printing or the other digital printing options are going to be replaced by inkjet because it has no contact point. It does not have to get into contact of the paper surface. Therefore, in terms of speed, it is very advantageous because it is contactless. So as long as the paper are being transferred, they are going to print at the same speed. I think about 7 to 8 years ago, there are some printers which print newspaper at high speed. While it is printing, they will be able to fold a A4 size paper, and per minute they are able to 7 to 8,000 papers. We're talking about in 1 minute's time. And according to our technologies now, we'll be able to do the same thing for 10,000 pieces of paper. And I think this is something very professional, high-speed printing. And inkjet is outperforming everything else. When you're talking about office use or commercial use, we also see replacements coming up. They are replacing some other printing modes. Maybe William, maybe you are having some inkjet UV and some large surface areas printing. If you're using inkjet, it will be much easier if you want to expand the width. However, if you want to use other technologies, the most common type is the toner-based printing technology, because there is a heater and the image drum. If you want to expand the width, it is actually a very challenging job, or close to impossible, because there has to be a fusion temperature of over 200 degrees Celsius. If you have to handle it at a continuous high temperature, it is going to bring issues to the machinery as well as the paper. William, is there anything you want to add? I would like to add a few words. Apart from the speed and the expandability, for digital printing, if you want to add a layer of a transparent coating, then the layering of your printing will be much, much better. And also about the post printing technologies, like if you want to do a golden coating, it will be very easy if you use digital printing. But for the traditional methodologies, it will cost you a lot if you want to make each piece of paper different. But if you are doing it with a digital way, it will be something that is achievable at least. Maybe we can say that in long run, inkjet printing is having a lot of advantages. If you look at the speed, the cost, and the materials, maybe sooner or later it's going to happen. William, I know that you have a lot of machineries. You have offset printer and the digital printers. So when the change is happening, what will be the impact on you? Like the high-speed digital printing, would you be making different procurement decisions? Well, for us, we welcome different tools to help our clients to fulfill what they want. In the past, maybe we are um, try to distinguish them in terms of quantity. But as the speed is improving, I believe that the market share and the scope of digital printing is going to be higher and higher. Well, talking about digital printing, what would be the DPI? What is the standard of the DPI or the resolutions? Well, over 20 years ago, it is a 300 DPI. DPI is per inches. That means per inches there will be 3,000 times 3,000 dots. That is 900 dots in total. But as the trend developed, soon it has become 600 DPI, 1,200 DPI, 2,400 DPI. Up to now, in the commercial market, the standard should be 4,800 DPI. I think for a lot of printers, they are still using machineries for 1200 DPI, but for all the new printers, they are all targeting at 4800 DPI. Some people might ask, for digital printing, what is the highest possible DPI? I can give you a reference or an impression. 8 years ago, the highest DPI that I've encountered is 720,000 DPI. And of course, it is not printing documents or printables. It is printing something very special. But it proves that the potential of digital printing is substantial, is almost limitless. When I talk about the 720,000 DPI, it is printing for some scientific research, and practically speaking, that the practical usage of that printer maybe is not that specific, but the technology is already advancing. They are trying to print a few lines of words on a piece of hair, and you won't be able to read it unless you use a microscope. So we estimate that as it develops, in terms of the commercial market, human eyes cannot tell the difference. Maybe 48,000 dpi or 76,000 dpi, 96,000 dpi. Maybe we can't really tell the difference. I believe that in the coming few years, 48,000 dpi will be the positioning that we have. Just like our display, maybe having 8K, maybe 4K is already sufficient. Not all of us need a 8K television set. William, practically speaking, when your customers come, are they going to specify the DPI, or are they just asking you to create something beautiful? I think for the customers, what's important is the end product, is the quality of your end product. In the past, maybe a few years ago, when we do digital printing, the end product that we can create is slightly different from the analog printing product to those who are in the business. However, as the technology advances, I think it is the resolutions of the two kinds of printers are getting closer and closer, and the scope of coloring. Well, I think a digital printing is even better than the traditional printing. So, in terms of quality, I believe that it is not a question anymore. And as I said, the advantages of digital printing is especially in the materials, in its speed, and also the post printing processing. In the past, if we want to print something on a plastic plate, it may be something very complicated, or maybe for analog printing, you need to go through a lot of procedures. But now you can use a UV printing, and the materials that you can use is multiple. You can put it on a aluminum plate, on wooden plate, or zinc, etc. You can even take off your door and you print something on your door. Well, for analog printing, all these options will be difficult for us to imagine. But now, such technologies is actually inspiring us to be creative. We have mentioned about the scope of coloring. Traditional printing, we use a CMYK, 4 colors. So apart from CMYK, what are the other breakthroughs that we have? Wagner or William, which one of you would like to address to this? Well, the breakthrough of CMYK talking about the breakthrough of CMYK, I think over 10 years ago, we are trying to produce a hi-fi color, which has a wider scope of coloring than CMYK, but it ended with failure. We put a lot of effort in it, but a lot of problems come up. Because if you want a traditional printer to have 3 additional sets of printing cylinders and ink, then the cost will be greatly increased. And the increase of cost will finally become the burden of the users, and the users may not be able to pay a double portion of the cost. And also the analytical system is unable to analyze the 3 other colors other than CMYK. The reason is we use half tone in printing. So it's going by dots. As long as it is over 4 screens, then in the industry, we will say that there will be some clashes and it will create some unwanted patterns on your printing. And because of that, hi-fi color is ended as a failure. But simultaneously, because digital printing has developed into some airframe screen, it used some very fine dots, and by the density of dots, we create a grayscale, and it is very smart because it escapes the clash of the CMYK toner. Therefore, successfully, by using inkjet, they only have to add 3 additional inkjet, and they will be able to create 7 colors. The first time I saw such solutions is in Tokyo. They are able to print all fluorescent color and metallic colors. This is something that it will be very painful if you want to do it with analog printing, and the cost will be very high. But with digital printing, it will be easy. As Stafford introduced inkjet, they already have the capability of 7-color printings, or if you're printing photographs, it might have even 12 colors. Then the traditional printing it's just impossible for them to compete with this. With digital technology, they will be able to handle 12 colors very easily. Therefore, I believe that in the future, maybe the requirements is not just CMYK, because the color scope of CMYK is very limited. There are a lot of things that you cannot express. Sometimes when you read a magazine or when you read the magazines on the monitor, especially for green colors and the orange colors, you will tell a huge difference. From magazines, print magazines, as they are using CMYK, then the scope is very narrow. The green is always not green enough, and you will not be able to see the fluorescent colors. You will not be able to tell the orange colors. Some very sharp red color cannot be printed. On the other hand, if you are reading it on mobile phone, because it is not CMYK, so you will be able to enjoy beautiful colors. In the future, all digital printing machines will go beyond CMYK. So we will be able to see more and more colors in the future, right? William, what about you? Well, especially for cosmetics and for portraits, human portraits, you need more colors to present the products than CMYK. Especially for human portraits, I think there will be some huge advancements. So maybe when you have to do this, you just need to go digital in order to achieve such results, right? William, as a user, you have a lot of equipments in your companies. So talking about investment, I believe that you're always updating your equipment. So when you make investments, will you consider, are you going to purchase an inkjet printer or a toner, or the answers is already very obvious? I think we have a major investment on inkjet and also some digital post-printing processing machineries. Right, that means you want the digital printing to be able to achieve what the traditional printing can achieve. Well, our target is to make use of digital printing to achieve what analog printing can achieve all the time. And the advantage is to have wider color scope, and there will be no limits on the amount. And when the quantity is low, the cost is actually lower. We have talked a lot about machineries and technologies. Looking at the industry, or the printing industry in Hong Kong, it used to be the four major industries in Hong Kong, but what will be the prospects? Well, because of the pandemic, all industries will be impacted, but what will be your projection about the printing industry in long run? I have discussed with some fellow printers, and they said it is very difficult for them to look for talents. Is there anything that we can do locally to train our talents? First of all, a lot of people has an illusions about printing industry and think we are a very traditional industry. But in fact, because of the development of computer technologies, the printing industry is now adopting a lot of high-end technology. It is not something that is so dirty and you will get inks all over your hand. It is not like this anymore. For digital printing or inkjet printing, if you look at the modern types of printing factory, it is very clean. So young people, you may consider joining our industry. And printing materials is always needed. Maybe the only thing that has changed is how we produce it, and the end product might be slightly different, but the need is always here. So first of all, you have to understand the new generation of printing industry and also what it is capable of achieving. Wagner, I think there are a lot of organizations inviting you to share about this, right? Well, traditional printing is something that is unavoidable. You just have to go there. it is very difficult for you to replace it with a computer monitor or a mobile phone. For example, if you buying a bottle of coughing medicine, if there's no printing label there, then you will not dare to purchase it and take this medicine, right? And even if you're buying a pair of sneakers, you need to have a box carrying the pair of sneakers which have prints on it, right? So I believe that our society will not go completely printless. And the challenge that we have is to pass on our experience to the next generation. Whether it's digital printing or traditional printing, all the experience that you have accumulated or the skills that you have accumulated, I believe that all these are still be applied and they are all precious. You still need to put into effort in all the early stages works. The only difference is whether you're going to print it out or you're going to send it to your readers through mobile phones. Sometimes we'll receive a PDF file, and very often they will forget to give us the cutting lines, and they will forget the bleeding lines, or maybe the size is exceeding the original size from dozens times. There are also some critical elements about back of the print. These are things that we need to learn. In terms of industrial education, I think they are overly relying on teaching about software instead of the industry techniques. One example, if we are going to breed some writers, we are not going to teach them how to type, right? If we want to breed some writer, are we just going to teach them different types of typing year by year? If you teach them like that, you will not be able to teach them become a writer. But that is what we're doing in our industry. We are only teaching them how to use software, and very quickly they are only able to use the tool that is software, but they are not going to become a professions. About 10 years ago, we initiate to join the Education Bureau. We want to provide some transformations model or digital printing solutions. But at that time, they think it is not the right time. And they have missed the time to transform the education in Hong Kong. Looking back, I think this is not amendable. And as we look at printing as well as media right now, we think that we really have to evaluate the education behind all these. Right, as William has mentioned, the situation we now have is that the printing environment of digital printing and the analog printing is entirely different, and we hope that the digital printing associations can share this with different parties, because our technologies is different now. Maybe we will be able to retrain the talent so that we can play a more important role in the society. Going back to the techniques, in this year or maybe in these few years, there are some printings, and we are not talking about the 2D printing, but 3D printing. Do you think 3D printing is one of the topics of digital printing? Shall it be included, or what do you think as its development trend? Wagner, I know that you are in touch with 3D printing, and you are the consultants of it now. I think 3D printing is a branch in digital printing. So our association has begun our first Hong Kong 3D Printing Association 3 years ago. But of course, at that time, there are a lot of opinions within the industry. Even up to today, there are still a lot of people saying 3D printing is not printing. They are still struggling about definitions and all these issues. They think that for printing, you need to have a plate and you need some ink on it, and then you put the ink on a piece of paper. That is called printing. But this concept is entirely wrong. Let's say, is inkjet a digital printing? Yes, everyone will agree. But for inkjet, it can now develop to the point to print for 7 layers so that it would look it is very popular on UV inkjet printing. And is this kind of technology digital printing? Yes. But if we can do it on 7 layers and you can still count it as digital printing, why isn't a 700 layers of printing be defined as digital printing? For 3D printing, you are just developing the printing from x-axis, y-axis to the z-axis. It's obviously a digital printing technique. Up to today, all colors inkjet printing are being all colored 3D printing are being dominated by inkjet technologies. The most beautiful 3D coloring printing are dominated by inkjet technologies. It is printing layer from layers, and the maximum is 10 million colors. For example, if you're printing 2 cups of ice cream, one is a real ice cream and the other is a printed ice cream. If you are just looking at it by human eyes, maybe you would not be able to tell the difference. You have to touch it in order to know which one is real and which one is not. Therefore, we really need to correct our concepts. 3D printing is one of the developments of digital printing. William, is there anything you would like to add about digital printing? Would you like to further share anything else? Well, I think many people would think that 3D printing is maybe you have to print a screw or to print a part and take it as an element of industrial production. But for Hong Kong, since we do not have a huge industrial development to support this, then people think that it's irrelevant for Hong Kong. However, I believe that 3D printing can have a lot of applications in terms of designs, even for the printing industry. As Wagner said, if you are printing it layer by layer, there are a lot of ideas that you can convey. Let's say a cup of ice cream. In the past, we were printing it on a piece of paper or the product of ice cream. But now we can print a cup of ice cream. You can still take it as a signage, but it's 3D. This is something that Hong Kong can further look into. Maybe if time allows, we can continue to discuss more about 3D printing, because in other countries, people are already printing the retina. That it can be even finer than the human retina. That means the printed retina is even finer than human retinas. There are people who print camera lens. And not only camera lens, also the lens for spectacles, and also all the lens that is used by cameras. It can all be printed. And it is so fine than the traditional lens, because we go the traditional ways, we have to do a lot of refining, and that's very difficult. But as they print it, they are already able to achieve the standard that we are unable to achieve in the past. Nowadays, since they are able to print it, they are able to print some lighter weight camera lens. Is in 10 or 20 times lighter. There are people who are printing sneakers, printing heart, printing cardiovascules, even printing the house. So in all the industries that we are in touch with, there will be a link to 3D printing. Maybe in the future, we can go into further details of it. Talking about the digital printing, it's not just 2D. As long as we are creative, there is still a lot of potential for us to go further on. Some people have said that in the future, apart from air and water, this is something that we cannot print on, but all the other materials will be able to print on it. Thank you very much. I think that's about it. Thank you very much for the two guests joining us in this panel discussion. Maybe our DTC or maybe our associations are going to organize relevant seminars in the future. Thank you very much, everybody. This section of webinar has come to an end. Thank you very much for the sharings of the guest.
Here comes the official end of the online broadcast. Before you go, please fill out the questionnaire to let us have your feedback. 喺完結之前，記得登記成為網上採購會嘅買家，透過我哋嘅人工智能平台相對易服務同供應商見面。Before we finish, please be reminded to register as buyer of the International Sourcing Show and log on to our AI-powered click-to-match business matching platform to meet with your potential suppliers. Apart from the section just now, we have more than 15 webinars focusing on the other sectors available for viewing and replay on International Sourcing Show Online Intelligence Hub. Please visit Intelligence Hub on our ISS website and gain insights from industry experts. Don't miss the business matching opportunities on our platform to explore business with exhibitors. Thanks again for joining us today. If you're interested in registering as buyer, please stay on and we'll show you a short video to take you through the steps. Wish you fruitful business in International Sourcing Show Online. Thank you. 再次多謝各位今日嘅參與。如果你有興趣登記成為買家，請繼續留步收看陣間將會播放嘅影片。多謝，再見。